Do you know why men cheat? Like, can you answer this question for many inquiring minds?
I cannot.
So you don't have any personal experience?
I don't have a personal experience with cheating. No, this is
Hmm.
yeah. You think I'm in business with you because I cheated, or
No, definitely not. There have been a lot of questions in the community about why men cheat.
so?
That
Well,
is
what is
where,
your opinion on that? Because you're the infidelity expert in from my point of view.
yeah, your point of view is limited. Go read some books. No.
Well,
So my perspective on why men cheat, like why humans cheat, is because they are meeting needs or wants in a way that they feel like they cannot be honest with the people that love them or claim to love them, and the people that they, claim to love. So
hmm
I think that that's really the foundation of why men choose to cheat. Like when I think about why Stan chose to cheat, he had a lot of unmet desires in his past relationships. And even though he knew what he wanted, he figured at that time in his life, this was the person that he was going to get what he wanted with.
hmm
And of course, life takes its course and it does not look the way that you planned for it to look. And you find yourself in a tricky situation like we did, and you decide to move forward.
In the beginning, you said like the reason one of the things is honesty. So I
Mhm.
guess they are not able to be honest with themselves or their partner.
They
What do you mean by
believe
that?
that they can't be honest with, like, their wife. That's what I think. Like, could you imagine? I would say it would be a very difficult conversation if Stan came home and told me, "Hey, I met somebody," like, because we do not have an open marriage, right? But if he came home and he told me, he's like, "I met somebody, I'm incredibly attracted to them. I really wanna see how spending time with this person could change my life." I'd probably be like, "Okay, well, I don't want any part in it," and I'd probably walk away, I would be like,
hmm
"Yes, go do that." If I respond that way, right? He's probably not going to tell me the truth anymore. But if I respond differently, if I'm like, "Okay, like, can you tell me more about why you find this person so attractive, and what is it that, like, stokes your desire to want to get to know this person more?" Then maybe I am creating a safer relationship where he can be honest about things that he's probably not too proud of.
Would you allow it? Allow
Would
it.
I allow it? I don't think so. I think that opening up a relationship has a lot of complexities that I could never fully anticipate, and I think it would just make my life messy. But what I would want him to understand is the root of why he feels an emotional pull, why he feels all of that, because then I think he can understand whether it's something that he can regulate without meeting it that way. You know what I mean?
I feel like you are bringing in an assumption that men act in a similar fashion than women with cheating. I don't think that's the case. And
Oh
this is
shit.
something I read yesterday from the book Relentless. So Relentless is by a guy who was the coach of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. So all these athletes. He was sharing something. Every relentless man has a dark side. Every man has a dark side. The home of every athlete is a space, it's safety. But they also have a dark side, and that dark side is the dark side that helps them perform on the field. Those are all the
Mhm,
internal desires that they have, and they would want to meet them.
mhm.
So the reason why men cheat in this case, or one of the things that he mentioned, is that they cheat because it's made this like take out the stress away, like sleeping with another woman. It has
So,
no
like, to decompress,
emotional,
essentially?
yeah, it has no emotional value. Not always, but I would agree.
Not always.
The thing is,
But, okay, so
you
riddle me this. How does a man go about sharing his emotions with another human being on the planet and there not being an emotional connection involved?
there is no emotional connection. It's like a one night stand, right? So cheating doesn't necessarily need to mean the way we are talking about it in the other woman community, where there is mostly long-term affairs. Men,
Right.
I don't think men have, like, the majority of men cheat in long-term affairs. I think it, and this is me guessing, is short-term affairs.
So I guess there's like 2 parts, right? There's why men cheat, and then why men continue to cheat and basically string this other woman along. And, I get a lot of flack on my TikTok whenever I have my content targeted towards the female. Sometimes I will have males pop up in my comment section and be like, "Hey, you talk like this is only about women and that only women feel this way." And I believe this particular commenter is a man, and they're like, "But men struggle with the same thing." And it's the inability to be authentic in their relationships and more of an attachment to duty and all of that, that they also believe that they are not allowed to leave the marriage or that there's too much at stake. Like the stuff that's on the line to them is important. Like I don't think that a man cheats because he doesn't love his wife or anything like that. Like never once did I feel that Stan didn't love his ex-wife, and I still am of the belief that he does have love for her because he's not still in that marriage stringing her along. The more compassionate decision that he could make for that time was, "Hey, I need to set you free so that you can go and find your happy too."
Hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that she has to go find a new relationship or anything, but he certainly doesn't have to put her in a marriage where he is deceiving her.
Okay. What if it's not about a man and, like, male and female? What if it's about
Mhm.
the male and female energy? So what I mean by that is
What?
one, yeah, so male and female energy, meaning you may be in a couple where there's a man and a female, but the female
Uh-huh.
has the more masculine energy and the male has a
Okay.
more feminine energy. So
Yes.
the male is more emotional, whereas the female is more go-getter, get stuff done, which is masculine energy. So
Mhm.
action is male energy, what they're calling it in spirituality, and then feelings is a female energy. So what
Hmm.
if the man that you are shared, like the comment, it has nothing to do with males and females, but the reason or how emotional cheaters cheat is in a similar way, and then how masculine energy cheats. I would think that masculine energy would cheat not in terms of emotional connection, rather than they are more serial cheating. They tend
But
to
it
do
always
serial
starts
cheating.
with an emotional connection, doesn't it?
I don't think
Like
so. I don't think so. I don't think so because, like, I do not have any experience with cheating, but I do
mhm.
know people who have in my ex masculine circle, and yeah, it's not never about being emotionally connected to someone. It's always about
Wow.
just releasing the stress or having fun or feeling the dopamine. It's never been about, oh, I am with this person, but I like the other person. No, it's just fun.
So what do you think about the man who is in the marriage out of obligation and he continues to cheat?
A man who is in a marriage out of obligation, what is it that he's attached to in a marriage?
I think it's image, I think it's fear of loss, right? Like if a man leaves his wife and his wife becomes like the bitter scorned woman and she starts to use the kids as pawns and like threatens to take the kids away from him or any of that, cuz like that's usually what happens in these marriages is one person says, "Hey, I won out." And they say, "You won out?" And they strong arm you. They'll say, "If you want out, I'm going to do everything in my power to take half or take it all." Take it like women go and like just take it all from the man. So then they're left poor. And then they also threaten with the children. And this, I think, comes down to a lot of like the judicial systems that exist in a variety of areas in the world. But men hear all of these awful stories about how they decided to leave their marriage and then they're left with nothing. They're like really put out. Like I think when my dad left his marriage, he ended up living in somebody else's house, like, on an air mattress for a while. And, like, we would go and we would, like, stay on the floor. Like, it
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
easy. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't easy by any means. He he ended up having to pay her for the rest of either his life or her life, and that's, like, a really tough pill for somebody to swallow, right? Because you're forfeiting something that you feel like you have earned and you deserve and all of that.
So this is where ignorant Kevin comes in because I did not know that was even a possibility, right? Like
Mm, mhm.
Kevin in his 20s, I have no idea. Like I have no idea that a woman
Yeah.
could make the life of their ex-husband such
Oh, yeah.
in a misery, basically. I had no
Yes.
idea.
And that is the power that you give to somebody when you choose to marry them.
Interesting. Are we switching topics into like marriage?
Well, it's like why the married man cheats, you know? Like, why does the married man cheat? If it really was just sexual gratification, then why not just go out and pay for sexual gratification?
I don't know. Tell me because I don't understand the paying someone.
Well, I think that, like, if you're paying for something, right, the amount of money you're forfeiting is far less than the amount of money you would have to forfeit in order to exit the marriage.
Question: would you be
Uh-huh.
okay if Stan would pay someone to meet his sexual needs? If it was only about sexual needs?
I'd be so grossed out. I'd be like, "Why? Why are you contributing to that area of the economy?" Like, for a really long time, him and I used to judge sex workers harshly, and, I would you know, I could not go into a strip club, I could not ever do any of that, and I couldn't really value the people who participated in that because it was like, "Why can't you just, like, not do this?" They're not the problem, though. I think the problem is that the industry exists because there's a market fit, right?
Hmm.
Like, there is a consumer who wants to pay for this good. Who am I to say that that market shouldn't exist? No, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I can appreciate and value the individuals who participate while also choosing not to participate, you know? So if Stan came to me and was like, "Hey, I wanna go to a strip club," I'd probably be fine with it because 'cause I'd be like, "Whatever, you're trash." But if he was like, "I wanna be a repeat customer at, like, a happy ending massage place," I would have some serious concerns over why he wanted to share his body with somebody else in that way. And if it really
Hmm.
is just, like, about variety and all of that, like, that is not something that I want to model to my girls. That is something that I would have to compromise my own value system, and I would be displaying that to my children, and that's not something I wanna display to my children. If you are the other woman in your relationship and you love this podcast, you would love the Other Women community. The Other Women community is a membership program designed to help other women just like you reclaim their relationship with themselves and heal from their affair. We provide a safe and supportive environment for you to open up and talk about your experiences. We give you the tools and resources you need to grow into an authentic, empowered individual. If you're ready to take the next step in your healing journey, head on over to theotherwomanandthewife.com/community to learn more about the membership and all it has to offer.
So, in regards to why men cheat, so you think it's the same as with women?
Yes, yes, absolutely. If you're in a relationship with somebody and the intent of the relationship, if the intent of the relationship doesn't match the purpose of a relationship, I think you have a large disparity that needs to be communicated.
Okay. So, do you think there is a difference between serial cheating and
Yes,
long-term
yes,
affairs?
yes.
Why does one happen? Why does the other happen?
I think because you don't get to the core of why you feel deceit is the only option. Because ultimately you're ashamed of what your wants and desires are. And you're afraid that expressing them to people who know you will change their perception of you. And that you feel like it's wrong to want that. Like, I think as soon as you vocalize your wants or your needs, like say that Stan vocalized the desire for sexual variety, right? If he vocalizes that to me, he has now invited my influence into how he goes about meeting that need or that want. So I think that it is somewhat the same for both men and women, but when it comes to serial cheating, that is somebody who is satisfied with the approach that they take in meeting the wants and needs that they have. They are satisfied. They don't have, or at least I would say where it hits on their totem pole, like their value system, their desire for authenticity is far below meeting their needs.
The desire of authenticity is below meeting their needs because the authentic part is within their marriage.
No, the authentic, like, they are not, people who cheat are not living authentically. Like, there's no way.
Oh yeah, okay, 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 got it. I get it. Get it. Here's the thing. I knew people who were 100% satisfied in their relationship. They love their partner. They had a great sex life. They still went on cheating.
How could you call that 100% with your partner if you
Well, yeah,
can't be
this is what they
honest
tell me.
about your sexual life? Yeah, what I mean, and what? The same person who lies to their wife is going to tell you the truth?
Like I called them friends before.
Like,
Damn.
one of the huge things that, like,
I
I
don't care really.
did a 180 on was I had to become obsessed with telling the truth. I no longer could, like, fake it. I
Hmm.
couldn't pretend I was happy. I couldn't, and that's actually, like, something that I wrote in whenever I first, you know, displayed the news. I said, "I think I've been pretending happiness for the last year, and I just can't do it anymore." And that was truly because I had no sense of what happiness was. Because what I thought happiness was and what happiness actually is were a big, it was like a big, what is it? A big gap.
Hmm.
They were like in polar opposition of each other.
I don't know. I can't put. I know that there is the emotional component, and if you are emotionally available, then okay, I get it. You're not happy in your marriage, whatever. You're looking outside. You don't want to lose stuff. I get that component. I don't get the component. Like from what I've heard, there are tons of short-term affairs, and I don't think there is an emotional component. There is definitely the authenticity part, I guess, as you're explaining it, but there is an intrinsic, not an intrinsic, but there is like a drive.
But that's like a very primitive instinct, wouldn't you say?
I think that we are we still have that part.
Of
Each and every human
course.
has it.
Yeah, it's a primitive instinct, but like if we worked off of our primitive instincts like all the time,
I
uh,
agree.
I think
You
we're
should be able
degrading
to control
ourselves
those.
too, and be honest about it. Like my whole thing is like, if a man can't come to his wife and tell her what he really thinks and feels, why? Why? Why can't he? Why can't he come over? Like, it's because
I
they
think
fear the reaction.
let's go back 20 years.
Mhm.
Would you say that 20 years ago, men would actually openly speak their emotions, their truth to the woman? I think this is
No,
like a
I think that
completely new
Stan doesn't
perspective.
even, yeah, you're right. Stan doesn't even, I feel like Stan molds himself to the audience, like know your audience type thing, right? And so there are certain things that he will be honest with me about. And then there are other things where like I'll be like, "Hey, can I get your opinion on this?" And he's like, "I don't think you really want my opinion." And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Hmm." He's probably right. Like, I probably don't wanna know his opinion on something that I'm very passionate about. And so I let him censor himself in that way, but at least I know, at least I know that, like, he's not lying to me. He's telling me, "Hey, this is something I really don't think would be beneficial in me sharing, nor is it necessary." And so then I move on and I'm like, "Okay, like, he has a different perspective. He probably knows that this is going to agitate me. So I probably just need to leave it alone." And it's
Hmm.
like, when I say this, I'm talking about like perspectives on the different schools of thought that are inside of our children's education system right now. Or like
What do you mean?
There's like a variety of schools of thought when it comes to education. There's like the homeschool option, there's more of like a Montessori approach. There's also like the traditional US
Okay, got
public
it.
school system, like that type of stuff, where I definitely lean more into like feelings-based education systems. Like I naturally
Hmm.
am inclined to go there, but those education systems also kind of lack structure and they lack discipline. I don't think that they teach very much about self-control. And so Stan is of the thought that he really wants his kids to be somewhere where there is a lot of structure. There is emphasis on how to operate in society and not make your problems somebody else's and all of that. So I'm like, okay, I got you. But like sometimes his opinions can be harsh on things that I am just like soft towards. I'm very soft.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I mean by like him censoring his opinions with me. So like how can you have a marriage where you don't censor yourself in ways that you share your body and your emotions with people outside of the marriage? Where you censor the other person's perception, right? Cuz all this
Hmm.
comes down to is like you not respecting somebody else's autonomy, personal autonomy, right? Like what Stan thinks about the education system isn't really important to whether our marriage is healthy or not. Whether I can, like, see past his opinion and see him as a person, like, that's kind of important. But yeah, why men cheat, like, I just don't see how it couldn't be an emotional connection. I think that men are really good at compartmentalizing too. So, like, even if they do get into an emotional affair and it did mean something to them, they're able to say the affair gets found out and they're done with that particular person. They don't want to create the relationship to be anymore. They're going no contact. They can easily put that little story in their mind, put it in the way back, and move on with their lives.
Agreed. Well, it depends. My girlfriend showed me a TikTok yesterday. I swear it's so funny.
What was
The the girl found out that the boyfriend was cheating,
uh-huh.
and the boyfriend, and she was how do you say that? She was confronting him, and she was laughing out loud, and the boyfriend was crying in front of her. But I love you.
What? Oh, shit.
But I love you. And she was literally just bursting out loud. She's like, I don't fucking care. And she was like just laughing.
Oh my
Just
god. It's weird because I don't have the experience of cheating with somebody and then feeling an intense need to further the relationship with the person that I cheated on. You know, like I
yeah,
did feel an immense amount of remorse and concern over how my existence negatively impacted this other person, how my choices negatively impacted this other person. Like that was very real for me, and I took
but
it incredibly seriously. So f and, like, of course, I cried, and I, was very sad about leaving that relationship, but I cannot imagine after doing what I did, getting to a point where I manipulated him into keeping the relationship with me.
you mentioned it at the beginning also of this conversation where you were saying the same of Stan, right? Like where he was like, I care about you and I know that this is not helping you and I am emotionally
Mhm,
attached to someone else, so I prefer
mhm.
out of care to leave you, right? The ex-wife.
Yes, yes.
But is there a way to not manipulate? So this is another question that just popped into my mind because I had this discussion with my girlfriend today. Is there a way of cheating and then getting back together?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think like, one of the things that was really tricky when Stan and I first got together is you have to remember our affair, like, we were friends for about a year, but our affair was only 3 months long. I didn't know who the hell I was getting into a relationship with, really, you know? I just had a strong emotional pull that I felt like I could not deny, and I did not get my ducks in order. Like, I didn't do things properly. I didn't exit the marriage and then pursue the relationship. I was definitely in a marriage and a passionate relationship at the same time. Had I like and a lot of marriages have experienced infidelity where they go on to see their actual glory days after the affair because it's almost like the tipping point of, "Oh shit, I don't know what I really like or what I want because I haven't actually evaluated what options exist. I've just kind of taken what's been given to me as what I should be doing with my life and what will make me happy. No self-discovery and figuring out like what actually makes you happy. I think marriage can encounter infidelity and go on to see its glory days if you have two willing individuals in the marriage. And it takes accountability on both parts, right? Like what I was saying about women's reactions to their husbands.
Is there a point of no return? And with no return, I don't mean emotional connection to someone else, but like, is there a point where there has been too much said, too many mean things within the marriage, insults and stuff, that you can't go back into a marriage and forgive the other person? Do you know what I
Um,
mean?
I don't know, man. I think I do know what you mean. Like, is there a point of no return? Like, can you do so much damage to somebody else or to yourself that it all comes down to like when you get to the base level of it, is this relationship with this person more helpful or hurtful to me? So yeah, I think that relationships run their course and you need to know when to walk away. Do I think that any marriage is capable of recovery? I do not. I think that people delude themselves into thinking that.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
think
it's
that
mostly the
it is
perceptions that
that.
you have within yourself that do that.
Yeah, and
Like the
but
beliefs that you
also
have,
it's
right?
that. Yeah, it's that belief that actually keeps people in toxic marriages for much longer than they need to be. But yeah, the why men cheat question, I think it all comes down to a cost benefit analysis for the individual and whether they're willing to do the cost benefit analysis to stop the cheating. I think that a lot of people refer to affairs as painkillers because they're in like deep emotional pain. Like Dr. Kathy Nickerson on TikTok, she talks about it all the time. She's like, an affair is a painkiller, and whatever like deep seated pain the person is going through, they just cannot be transparent about it because they don't even understand it themselves.
Interesting.
Hmm.
All right. Is there anything else we want to say about
Why men
why men
cheat?
cheat?
So I think we've identified a few things as to why men cheat. They're not satisfied as an individual. They do not feel safe speaking up in their marriage. And they have wants and needs that they've never really assessed for themselves and either made peace with the fact that they will never meet those wants and needs, or they choose to go the deceitful route and have them meet their wants and needs in this way. I think the other thing that we've identified is that men do have these primitive instincts for sexual variety, and they don't know how to kind of evaluate that and understand why it's there and whether it still needs to exist and how to manage it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've made it this far, you're likely someone who is invested in the journey of being the other woman. We understand that this can be a difficult and complex experience, which is why we offer guided coaching to help you heal and move forward. We encourage you to explore the links in the episode description or visit theotherwomanandthewife.com/coaching to learn more about our exclusive coaching program and apply today. Thank you again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.